They said I was a portent of doom. Maybe they were right.
They probably only said that because they wanted to get into your knickers, doll. On first glance I thought, hey, this looks like God of War 2, it's got similar fighting style, camera angles, etc, but it's on the PS3 so it'll be brilliant. But I was wrong, it's shite. Firstly, you notice you can't jump. This always sits a bit awkwardly with me with any game. Instead, you have an action button, which, when you press on Q, allows you to run up ladders, jump on massive ropes, etc. There's even whole sequences where you have to push buttons when told, a la God of War. So to make Nariko tightrope walk at high speed, press X now. To make Nariko side flip across a chasm, press side now. To make Nariko leap into the air, boot a baddie in the chops before landing, press square now. And the best thing is, the developers get to write actual in-game footage at the bottom. Yay, we're playing games! The same criticism could be levelled at God of War, but in that game it somehow felt more challenging. For a start, you had a chance of doing it first time, whereas with Heavenly Sword you have virtually no time to react. Which means it becomes more of a memory exercise rather than an action game. Also, in God of War the sequences were more of a reward after slaying some giant beast after half an hour of hard work. But when you have to do it just because you've come to a ledge, well, it's just button sequences gone mad, really, isn't it? Hack, slash, violence, blood, gore, all executed with beauty, grace and voluptuosity. Might have made up a word there. In Nariko, Sony have obviously created a video game character to attract all the sexes. Girls get a strong feminine role model with integrity, which they can relate to, and boys get like a fighting tits. It's a square deal, really. Joking aside, Nariko is a pleasure to look at, and not just for her obvious assets, but also the time and effort that's gone into designing her. The motion capture has reached new heights, especially with her facial expressions, giving the character greater believability, which might be a new word as well actually there. She runs, jumps and fights with grace and speed that turns stabbing someone through the throat with a massive sword into a work of art. Also on this title we have the pleasure of Andy Serkis' CGI motion capture acting skills. Now I'm a big fan of Andy Serkis. Anyone who can play a sexually frustrated 50-foot gorilla and a schizophrenic former hobbit with a jewellery addiction is definitely a talented actor. It's just that his grinning face takes screen time away from the lovely Nariko. How do you feel about that, Nariko? That can't be helped. It's great that real actors are getting involved in the narrative process of video games and banishing the woeful cutscenes of yesteryear, Resident Evil. The question is though, has too much time been spent on making the game look beautiful rather than being fun to play? The blocking system is pointless, to the extent that there's not really any point doing it. You're better off just dodging instead. Another frustrating aspect of the game is being continually tied up in arena style fights, which means you have to clear a room before you even have a chance to move on. A bit like a maid at the Hilton. Ultimately, it's impossible not to compare this game to God of War 2. It's very obvious that the designers had it in mind. It's very obvious that they were called into a room and someone said, look, it's God of War 2, just do that. It's also very obvious that some of those developers were playing with their winkies instead of listening. It's actually not a terrible game. The combos, although a bit button bashy, new word there, are a joy to behold. The story is engaging and well told. The graphics are stunning, and the side levels are very entertaining, in fact maybe a bit more entertaining than the actual game. It seems a shame. Heavenly Sword looks nice and has some good ideas, it's just not, what's the word, I need to invent a new one, it's not God of War 2-ish enough. Incidentally, God of War 2 is out on Platinum for 15 quid now, just saved you 30 quid, didn't it?